Take a walk with me to the dark side, where the spirits are archived on the far side, shadows with dark eyes and creatures that tell lies. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Ghosts. I am your host, SunRayki. So in this episode, I'm going to share with you guys a little clip that I recorded about a story a coworker told me, and then I'm going to share an interview with you guys. So I really hope you guys enjoy it. And if you want to be on the show, make sure to reach out to me. Email me at letstalkghosts@gmail.com. We can get it set up for you to be on the show with me. So yeah. Alright, you guys, get creeped. Hello, my spooky people. So I'm going to tell you a ghost story, and I want your opinion. So my coworker just told me that out in Oklahoma, he had an aunt, and he was never allowed in her house. And this house was in like a little ghost town, nobody really there, and he wasn't allowed in it. Well, he found out it's because when she moved in, the like attic door was nailed shut from like inside the house, not the attic, and they would always hear stuff up there, so like moving around and stuff. So one day she pulled the nails out, crawled up there, and there was a rocking chair, and it would rock by itself all the time. But the weird thing is every time she would go up there, there would be fresh condom wrappers. So with the attic being nailed shut and hearing things all the time, I want to know your opinion. Do you think she had a ghost, or do you think it was a squatter? Let me know. All right, perfect. So thank you so much for hopping on a call with me and sharing your paranormal with me. If you want to tell the listeners your name and where you're from, or anything else you'd like to share.
Sure. My name's Gabriella Ruelas. It's actually Gabriella Dawn Goodrich, so that's my given name. And I'm originally from San Diego, California, and I moved out into Colorado at about 30 years old. And most of my paranormal has been here in Colorado. I have experienced a couple things out in California, and I was trying to decide what stories to share with you, because it was like I have so many, but they're cool in their own way. But I'll share the first thing I had was we called her the Blue Lady.
Ooh, okay.
And we had her visit once or twice, and one time we actually had a friend with us, and so when the blue light flashed in front of our eyes, and it was very obvious to the three of us in the room that the light had been there, immediately our friend was like, "Did we just get sucked up to an alien spaceship and get probed and then get dropped back down?" So that was like the first thing I experienced, and I was gonna say we because I wasn't alone, but anywho, so that was really odd. I've had experiences driving down the road and having voices in my head, or someone correct whatever was going on, and things happened and I was removed from it.
Wow.
So I've had interesting experiences like that.
Those sound like spirit guides or guardian angels or of some sort warning you and
Right.
protecting you.
So I want to say that I am very in tune with that, and I feel that I have a lot of guardian angels because of those experiences. I realize it has to be. There's no other explanation as to why that just happened and I was not involved in that deadly crash, and it had nothing, and I'm like walking over here on the side of the road calling 911, and I should have been right there. So but I will share, this one was really cool. It was about 2000, I want to say 2002 because I was trying to remember who I was pregnant with. And because I was pregnant at the time, and it was Christmas break, and we were down in Trinidad. So this is really cool. We were in an old Victorian home. It had like 5 bedrooms upstairs, 3 downstairs, massive like receiving room, and then a massive dining room, massive kitchen. And my brother-in-law's aunt had been renting it. And we decided, let's have an old Victorian Christmas there. And we went all out, no stops held. And I think it might have been one of the last times his father was there in really good health.
Mhm.
Um, so anywho, it was one of those where we were just bringing lots of family together into this big, beautiful old house, including a good 7 kids.
Mhm.
And we put all the kids up in the attic, up in the extra space. And we were all then on the upper level with the bedrooms and one big restroom. And then the downstairs was where the host was and um, my brother-in-law's parents. So, and I was pregnant. So this is what was wild was because I had to get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom.
Mhm.
But it was one of those where it was like, oh, I woke up and I had to pee. I'm like, no, somebody's watching me. Somebody's looking at me. And I was like, I'm not comfortable getting up yet. And I was like, nope, I'm going to wet my pants. I'm going to get up. And I got up and I realized, oh, and I could physically see them in the room with me. And I was like, this is wild. And it was when I walked into the hallway, there were more.
Wow.
So there was a couple gentlemen and a woman, and they were intrigued with my in utero. I think they were drawn to that.
Uh-huh.
And it was weird because I went into the bathroom and no one went with me.
Well, at least they
Then
left you to your privacy.
I went into the bathroom, I did what I needed to do, and I didn't want to turn the lights on. It was kind of one of those. I'm like, nope, I'm just going to pee and go back to bed.
Mhm.
And then I walked back out into the hallway, and it's like they walked back down the hall with me and back into the room.
Wow.
And it was really cool because I waited to share, and then I shared it, and my brother-in-law shared with me that he said, I thought I heard someone riding one of the bikes up in the attic last night. And he said, I went to check on the kids and they were all sound asleep. And I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
that's wicked. That's wild.
That really fascinates me, especially that they were so intrigued with your pregnancy and everything. And I almost makes me wonder if they were connected to your child in some ways, from a different lifetime or something.
Oh, I didn't even think about that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and I didn't know if it was the location, if it was this had been maybe what is it like a flop house, is that what they called them back then? You
Yeah.
just flop in a room for a night and then you
Hmm.
take off. And so I thought maybe it was kind of like that, and then people might have passed away in the house, or because obviously it was an old Victorian, probably back in built in the 1800s. It's
Wow.
been around for a minute.
That sounds beautiful. I love old Victorian homes and the histories and the stories about them. I love it. So that's a
Yeah,
really cool experience.
really cool, very cool. And I was always at peace in that house. It was kind of one of those where other people are going, "Do you feel kind of creeped out? Do you?" And I'm like, "No, I think it's really cool. I'm okay with it." Yeah,
Yeah, you can definitely get a sense of most spirits, especially with you. It sounds like you're familiar with them.
yeah.
So there's definitely a difference between something that's scary and something that's just a love and light.
Hmm. So I have one that actually, so here in Broomfield, Colorado, and we rented a house that was a split level.
Mhm.
And so you walked in and you had to go up or you had to go down. And it was a 2-car garage and then the front door and then the stairway, and you had to go up or down. And it was really interesting. We think the previous owner of the home died in the home.
Mhm.
and the home was sold, and it was a realtor that was owning the home and using it as rental and rented it out, but didn't disclose to anybody as renters someone died in this home. Well, I learned it right away.
Mhm.
Now in that home, unfortunately, he wasn't happy that we were there. He was very unhappy that we were there. And I was pregnant in that house too. And interestingly enough, I had several dreams, but they would fall under the nightmare type,
Mhm.
disheartening and discouraging, going, whoa, is my family safe? Am I going to be all right?
Mhm.
Um, and we had the energy in the house where we thought something was off and something was, we were bothered and we bothered something.
Right.
And then we also had a mutt, a dog, that we had adopted and brought into that home. And so my experience was the dreams, and one was unfortunately a very unfortunate one, that I was laying in bed and he was attempting to choke me. He was standing over the bed attempting to choke me, and you don't belong here. I don't want you here. And I would wake up in a start and really angry, like, don't do this. What are you doing? Um, and the worst dream was that the vision I was given in a dream was seeing my entire family hung. So them talking terror night dream type thing. You wake up and you're panting, going, "What the hell? Why?
Mhm.
What did I do?"
And you can almost still
um,
feel the feeling in the dream, like your emotions. It's
yes, and this. So I wanted you to know that it was split level, because what we chose to do was we put the kids upstairs in the bigger room, and we put ourselves downstairs in the smaller room. And so I'd have to go up the stairs to check on the kids if I heard them. I keep the baby with me, but we always had the older two or three were upstairs. And then at one point, there was a time where I went to go up the stairs, and I had to tell the energy that was there trying to stop me, no, I'm going to go this way. I'm going this way. I'm going there. And it stopped my dog. And because she was going with me, and it was almost as though she had gotten swatted, or she had been, and then there was a really foul odor. That was the other thing,
Mhm.
is when we would have these episodes, we would have a really foul odor, and we would go, what the hell? Um, and that one time the dog, and then she would, if she sensed anything, she wouldn't go upstairs with me the next anytime I went. So that happened where I had that, well, and I pushed right through it, and I was going because
Mhm.
those were my children. And the
Yeah.
dog was like, whoa, what the hell was that? Turned her tail and ran back
Mhm.
to the bedroom we were in. So it was that experience in this house that, okay, we're not wanted here.
Yeah.
What's wild and really wicked is, and it took a long time for my family to open up, but my children all shared the same damn dream in that house in the same time frame.
Oh my God.
So my oldest daughter and my son were old enough to come and say, Mom, I had a really wicked dream. But they waited until we moved out of that house
Mhm.
and we were in the home that we had purchased and we're redoing for our own family. And they were like, I need to tell you, wait, that house was really wicked.
Mhm.
I had this dream. And I'm like, holy crap. We all shared the same dream that
That's
we were all being hung.
that's mind-blowing. Like that is
Yes.
there's no denying that being a paranormal incident with all three of you having that dream. The
Yeah.
same dream.
Yeah. Occurring in the same time frame, in the same house, and the same vivid, and then thinking, what the hell?
Mhm.
That's scary as shit. Why would I dream something like that?
Definitely, it either sounds like something slightly demonic because of the odor, or
Yeah.
the previous person that lived there that died just was not having anybody else in his house. That was his house, and he wanted everybody out.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild stuff?
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
But you know, I want to share with people who are listening too, because a lot of people are afraid when they feel that feeling and they want to run away. But you did exactly what you're supposed to. You stood up to it and you said, I'm going. You can't stop me. You showed no fear and you took control. And
Mhm.
that does help prevent a lot more scary incidents down the road and attacks and stuff like that.
That's yes, because that was the other thing that I kept thinking of is that I didn't want this to follow me or attach to anyone in the family
Mm-hmm.
when we were leaving that house. And then I was trying to remember if I smudged the new house that we moved into. I think it was the house after that I started smudging. When we
Mm-hmm.
moved into homes, I started smudging.
Yeah.
I would go through and walk through and smudge and say, we're not here to interrupt or we're here to be with you and live in the same house with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always really good to do and say, especially when you feel that presence, because I too have lived in a house where the original owner who built the house passed away and he just wanted our damn attention. And when I finally gave it to him, he backed off and I can coexist with you. You know, we don't have to scare each other or anything like that. And he really did chill out. So sometimes they just want to be acknowledged and, know that you're willing to coexist.
Yes. So that being said, we moved into the 78th place house here in Arvada.
Mm.
And literally over the move, the night we moved, and it was the first night in the house, and we'd left the Broomfield address. Um, this was wild. So my daughter lost her phone in the move. We
Mhm.
couldn't find her phone. And all of a sudden, my other daughter's hearing she called it. Oh, she went to call it to say, is it in this house? Did you lose it in this house? And so she calls it, and they hear it ringing in the closet in the bedroom.
Mhm.
So they literally tear the closet apart to find the phone, and they can't find it. We found the phone 2 days later in Broomfield, and somebody that had walked by the old house, she dropped it. They picked it up, took it home, turned it into Verizon, and found us.
Whoa. That gave me chills.
We had orbs that would visit that home and float around in that house.
Mm.
Oh, the other two things, um, the house we bought in Broomfield had water flowing by it. And so my assumption was that there may have been um, Indian settlements or something along that line, that because they typically would be near water in
Mhm.
order for the water source. And I thought, Indian burial ground, someone died here in a war or fight over the land, or, that type of thing. And so the 78th place, that's where I started just saying, okay, so if we've infringed on your space, I'm just here to coexist, and you don't freak my daughters out anymore. kind of.
Yeah.
And one of them was sleeping in the basement, and she said, I just had weird dreams and I just don't want to sleep down there anymore.
Mhm.
Because it's also subterranean. That was completely subterranean basement. And she was like, it doesn't feel right.
Mhm.
It doesn't feel right. And I said, okay. So we moved her upstairs. But anywho, it's just that I don't know if it's being open to it, to being able to move to that next stage of saying, okay, I'm going to smudge houses and let the
Mhm.
people who, whatever it is, whatever entity, whatever energy is hanging on to that location, that we're not here to disrupt or hurt anybody
Mhm.
or take anything away.
It's definitely a level of understanding what's happening and what they are, and just plain out remembering that they used to be one of us.
Yes. Yeah. So that being said, the Broomfield house had the water running by it, which was not the one with the older man where I think
Mhm.
had passed away, because we knew the history of this house. We were the second owners of it. The
Mhm.
original owners lived in 27 years, had built it, and we bought it from them.
Okay.
And that had a subterranean basement. And I grew in that basement, and I could grow a forest in that basement.
Wow.
So
Then I think you're on track with the Native American thing, you know, and I think about a lot of their healings and spiritualism and growth and all of that. And that's kind of beautiful, you know,
yeah,
go in a forest down there and everything like that. Where you brought so much more life to it, you know, and
yeah,
definitely a sign of nothing negative because those plants wouldn't have grown.
no, exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
they absolutely loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is
So
great.
just really, really, I guess in my experience, I have had more positive, or I have wanted to turn it into more positive
Mm-hmm.
and not have fear,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that the fear is what makes it worse.
Yeah.
I think being more open and being more accepting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if we all go back to science class and we all learn that we are all energy ourselves, right? Three elements off the element table, and that's what creates us,
Mm-hmm.
and that's energy.
Yep.
And that's all we can attain to everything that's around us, is that it's energy.
Mm-hmm.
And energy went into something to make something, or energy came out of something to create something. So
And even
that's
us being alive and stuff, we can still project our own energy and create things that seem paranormal.
cool. I didn't think about putting it that way. That's really cool.
Yeah, I actually learned a while ago that poltergeists are often created because you have a teenager in the house going through puberty. They project so much energy during that change that they can start to cause energetic fields that'll knock things over and move things and objects and stuff and whatnot. And even as adults, if you are extremely negative and hostile and really up here with your energy, you can actually project that and create poltergeists as well.
Wow. Okay. Because unfortunately, the majority of the shows that we see on TV that are portraying poltergeists or portraying ghosts or portraying entities, or it's always in the negative frame,
Yeah.
when it's not always that way.
hmm I think it
And
has
maybe
a
it's
lot.
because those go ahead.
Oh, I just think it has a lot to do with how we're raised. You know, all of these years we were taught to ignore it, be afraid of it, don't acknowledge it. So a lot of these shows are more of the negative side because that's what our brain just automatically goes to.
Yep, that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, because we were programmed to
Mhm.
consider and think of it, where for some reason my intuition and my subconscious was like, nope, 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 keep it wide open, keep it wide open, keep it wide open. And the whole thing about Native American, or for me, that I don't know why, um, ancestral, there's something there for me.
Mhm.
Um, I'm drawn very heavily to Native American, and I become extremely emotional about Native Americans.
I've experienced the same thing. I know I have Native American in my ancestry. I don't know much about the history or the tribes or anything like that whatsoever, but I do know they're in my ancestry. Meditate. Do you meditate ever?
Yes, I meditate.
Yeah, you can definitely try
Extremely
to
helpful.
meditate and connect to your ancestors. I've seen them in my meditations, and that's what really confirmed that it's still in me, was
Yeah.
seeing my ancestors in a meditation. We got an airplane or a helicopter flying pretty low.
Oh, yeah. So, and I think that people that want to shun or say that's not true, I find them to be very cold,
hmm
metallic.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, very closed off. I've noticed some people who don't believe in it or are afraid of it, when I start to talk about it, it's like a switch and their
Yeah.
eyes almost go blank and it's just they completely void it, ignore it all and everything. So I usually know when to stop talking about spirits and, you know, my beliefs and stuff because some people just have a block.
Well, yeah, again, I think that because I really go back to that, we're all born extremely innocent and blank.
hmm
There's a soul there, but that soul's trying to figure out what the purpose of their new journey is.
Yes.
and it's here to learn. All it wants to do is learn, 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 learn. So the idea that, we have to beat the negative out of a child, or I'm like, no, they're all just exploring, and they are really, I love the Montessori style of school where it's all about exploring and learning about themselves and what
Mm-hmm.
they're capable of, and maybe what they're not capable of, but then finding solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more solution driven than it being fact driven. um, you know, um, Unfortunately, the public school system, in my view, is now just creating factory workers, just creating worker bees.
Yeah.
If we had something Montessori, something that was more individual, and we were developing individual brains, then we would have more artists, we would have more authors, we would have more chemists thinking for themselves and outside of the box,
Yeah.
and creating and coming up with more solutions
Mm-hmm.
for all the issues. Or we'd be pulling that curtain back and showing off the reality of what chaos is really going on, that
Yeah.
we don't need to. Yeah, I kind of went in several realms there, but
I
I
totally
think you
agree with
understood.
you. Yeah, I actually agree with you. A lot of things today in this world is more programming us to be workaholics and, things like that. There's not really much to experience life anymore and have emotions and experiences and things like that. And I think that's important. I don't
I
think
agree.
working like that is healthy for any of us. It's not stable for our minds, and we don't get to expand, we don't get to grow and open and see things.
Yeah, so if we look back in history and how our creators, or our I want to say our chemists in the what's the word I want to say, um creators, inventing and finding things,
Mhm.
are becoming fewer and fewer. And I think that's because we're not allowing people to use
Mhm.
their brains the way they want to use them, and
Yeah.
go and explore and expand it.
Yeah.
I can't. I was really blown away for someone to say, "Oh no, there's a writer shortage." And I'm like, "A writer shortage? What? There's not enough new material coming out for people to write about." And I was like, "That's a really interesting way to look at it. A writer's shortage for more of pleasure books."
Like less creativity in the world.
Yes. Pardon me. I'm sorry. I got a real tickle in my throat.
Oh no, it's all okay. It's that time of the year where it's hot and cold, and we're
Yeah.
all getting coughs.
Yeah. So but it's also one of our greatest forms of creativity that we can share with one another, because everything starts with writing.
Mhm.
Everything starts with the thought, and then that thought being put down, that's the form of writing. And when we realize that kids in today's schools are not being taught to print, they're not being taught to cursive, they're being taught to peck on a board, and they can't write. I'm working with kids that are high school level now, 14 to 15 years old. They 14 to 15, freshmen and sophomore in high school. They cannot read my cursive writing.
That is so sad. How are they going to read history books, documents, things like that?
Yes, because moving forward, you have to be able to. I mean, even if you consider it a second language, it's
Mhm.
not. It's just looking at it in a different form. And it was the original form of writing, where
Mhm.
printing and the keyboard, the typing, came second.
Yeah.
So it's just all of that, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, it's like remembering growing up and hearing your parents complain and about the changes and, well, when I was a kid and stuff like that. And now we're at that point and I'm like, I fully understand them and feel every emotion they felt because it's crazy to me some of the things that are going on
Yes.
and the
And right.
changes.
Yeah, the instantaneousness of the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. That was definitely a changing point for human beings and period was the technology and how fast it all upgraded. Like right now, we are talking live on camera right now, and there's no glitches or static or delays or anything like that. And it's just Makes us a
20
little
years ago,
easier.
we would have considered this very unique.
Yes. Or we would have been in person at a
At
business,
a yes, we would have
or
driven somewhere to meet each other.
hmm
Yes.
Yeah. Very
I
interesting.
actually I'm doing this with my daughter who lives in Massachusetts as a side point to let you know. I didn't get to do it with my mom and my kids for her grandchildren, and I'm getting to do it for me, and I realize, wow, my mom had missed out on a lot
Yeah.
because she doesn't get to do this. I can FaceTime anytime with Catherine in Massachusetts, see my granddaughter, get the update for today and know how she's doing and feel like I just visited her, you
hmm
know? And that wasn't available 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, 20 years, bam, technology.
Yeah. There's definitely some benefits and some downfalls.
Yep.
But, maybe that's how it's always been with anything in this world. Maybe home telephones had the same kind of reaction from people.
Right.
With its benefits has its downfalls. Nobody comes and sees me in person anymore.
Right. You don't send me letters anymore. You just call me.
Exactly. So yeah, this is just how it's always been.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Well, I seriously appreciate you getting on this with me and sharing those stories with me. It's one of my biggest passions is sharing experiences with people so that people just know they're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that then the more we share and the more we talk, the more people are like, hey, yeah. And then we can say, okay, it's okay. It's all right.
hmm
No big deal.
I
Take a deep
definitely,
breath. Say, hey, name him or her.
yeah, them, him, her. Yeah, I do feel a merging of the realms. I do feel a big merging, with more of us having more sight and
Yes.
being more aware and stuff. I definitely feel like the veil is thinning and I see a big good change.
Yeah, I agree. I
hmm
agree. I've been manifesting and hoping for that
Yes,
and meditating over that. You know, it's only going to get better. It can only be better. We're only going to make it better.
exactly. And the more positive we all continuously think in that way, the more it's going to happen. The more
Right.
love and light we're going to bring. I keep hearing things in meditations and TV shows and podcasts that I watch, when people are communicating with the other side, asking, what's the answer to all of this? What's the point? And they always respond with love. Just love one another. Just love. That's it. Love is the answer to all. So I think the more we talk positively and awareness and share that love, the better off we're going to be.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Great
um,
conversation.
yeah, it was wonderful. Absolutely. I loved it. It was uplifting and nothing too scary. So, it was your one scary story sounded more like proving to yourself how strong you were. So, I
Yeah,
definitely
it
enjoyed this.
was. Very cool.
All right. Well, I hope you have a wonderful night and thank you so much.
Absolutely. You take care.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.